Okay, so it's been a while since I have done a review or mentioned a television series. However, I found one that I think you should probably take a look at. Now, I gotta tell you the story first. There's always a story that happens with one of these, and I gotta tell you mine. So, I'm sitting in front of my TV Friday night watching YouTube. That's what I always do on Friday nights is watch YouTube, catch up on stuff I missed during the week because I usually reserve YouTube for Friday night. It's about 1 in the morning. I'm clicking on a video, can't really get to bed, and one of those annoying ads pops up, okay? You know the ads I'm talking about. It's the way people make money on YouTube. Click on video, ad pops up. It's usually something you don't like. This time, it was something that I did not skip over. It was a trailer for something that I had never heard of before. So, I'm thinking, what the hell is this? Because, I mean, it's showing space, astronauts, jets, spacemen with machine guns landing on the moon, and I'm just thinking, what the hell is this? This looks amazing. The cast looks good. I've never heard anything about this, and it was For All Mankind. Season 2. I immediately thought, Season 2, I didn't even hear about Season 1. What's Season 1 like? So, I got out of the video I was watching. I immediately typed in For All Mankind, Season 1, trailer. I watched the trailer, and after watching the trailer, I made the decision, okay, I do not have an Apple Plus TV subscription. There's nothing really on there I want to watch. They don't really have a whole lot of content on there. I'm going to get it just for this show. It's like $5.99 a month. It might be $4.99. Might be $5.99. It's probably $4.99. But so, because of the trailer for this show, I bought a subscription. So, good job, Apple. I'm going to get into it now.
This is not the end of the race. We must keep our eyes to the future.
3, 2.
Okay, so, first things first. I need to preface this. Preface it. I need to start off. Let me just go with that. If you've never heard of this show, like period, at all, if this is the first time you are hearing of this show, do yourself a favor. Do not watch any of the trailers for this. Do not read up on this. Do not go to the Wikipedia page on this. Go into this flat out cold, fresh. Because, unfortunately, as great as the trailers are, as intriguing as the premise is, it kind of spoils the first 5 minutes of the show for you. I was able to get my dad to watch this completely cold without ever hearing anything about the show because he was alive during the date that this takes place in. This is an alternate history show, kind of like Man in the High Castle. If you've ever seen that show, you know that it's an alternate history show that follows what if the Nazis, won World War II, okay? This is an alternate history show about the 1960s space race. Now, I know that doesn't sound entirely interesting, but, going back to having my dad watch it fresh, cold, I sat him down, he didn't even know the title of the show, and after 10 minutes in, he was hooked. He's like, okay, I want to see what happens next. And that's how I felt because I was going in fresh with it as well. So, it's an alternate history show that twists some things around. I really don't want to spoil this, but the really great thing about this show is that just when you think they're about to kick the dead horse too much, kicking a dead horse with the initial kind of twist that they introduced with the first episode. Then another one gets introduced. It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of clever. And then another one. And just when you think the show's about to kind of run out of things to do, it throws another curveball and, kept me interested. The other thing I absolutely loved was the fact that, for the most part, the pacing was incredible. Now, unfortunately, a couple of the episodes, they decided to focus on the family dramas of a lot of the characters and the side stories having nothing to do with space. And the show kind of suffers for that, because I'm coming to the show for the space aspect. Not is Mary Sue cheating on Tommy Boy over there. Okay, I'm not interested in that. If I wanted to watch that, I'd watch a daytime soap opera. Okay, I want to watch the space stuff. And thankfully, for the most part, this show is mostly about space stuff. Okay. Best example is, it's a lot like Apollo 13, the Ron Howard film. If you've seen that movie, then you kind of know what you're getting into. Imagine that movie, but over the course of like 9 episodes, and instead of it being around one incident, it's around like 7 instances. All right, it's a lot like it, especially with how the pacing goes. It shows you a lot about mission control of Houston. It's not just showing you the 3 astronauts in space. It's kind of a huge in-depth look at the entire agency. And while that may sound boring, it's actually really intriguing, especially with the alternate history switches that they've done. And it also reminds me, this show reminds me a lot like the Marvel comic book Bullet Points. I don't know if there are any comic book readers out here, but case in point, Bullet Points is a what if, like, 6-issue series going over what if the scientist to Captain America was assassinated. The scientist that created the Captain America Super Soldier Serum. What if he was assassinated? What kind of ripples would that have throughout the entire Marvel series? And they go over and they show you all the ripples. Like, instead of Captain America being Captain America, he becomes Iron Man. Peter Parker becomes the Incredible Hulk. Mr. Fantastic becomes the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. instead of Nick Fury. There are all these like little twists and turns that they do with the Marvel comics. It was a fascinating read, and this show is a lot like that. Because of one ripple, all of these things kind of happen differently. And minor spoiler, it's not a huge thing, but just I'm using this to give you an example, so I'm not spoiling anything drastic in the series. It's a very tiny plot detail to give you an idea. If you don't even want the smallest detail revealed, then jump forward to this point right here. But in the show, something happens that causes Ted Kennedy to cancel his Chappaquiddick vacation, which, if you know anything about history, Chappaquiddick was a controversial incident where he allegedly murdered someone in a car wreck, or allegedly was just unfortunate accident. There were 2 sides to that story. I'm not going to get into it, but because of this one incident, he doesn't go to Chappaquiddick, and he doesn't have that, tarnish on his record, and later on, he runs and becomes president of the United States. And so that's what I mean by the, like, kind of butterfly ripple effect that this show has in its history storytelling. And it's really interesting. It kept me intrigued and hooked, and I absolutely loved it. Now, does it slow down a couple of times? Absolutely yes. But there's a couple of episodes that just kept me on the edge of my seat, and like I had to see what happened next. And I absolutely loved the musical score of this. I mean, I don't know who did the musical score of this show, but I mean, very rousing at the right moments when, you know, they just have astronauts like at the edge of their fingertips, barely holding on. Solid work from the musical composer. Solid acting, pretty decent writing, and for the most part, I'm really looking forward to season 2. Absolutely, without a doubt. This is worth the price of admission to the streaming service Apple Plus. Also, one thing I really want to give credit to, it doesn't have anything to do with the show, Apple TV has the ability to run the entire service in standard definition instead of high definition for people with really lousy internet like me. I can't get things like HBO Max because it's like, hey, guess what? If you get this, you're going to have to run it in 4K because we don't let you run it in a lower film quality. So, really appreciative guys at Apple who actually gave that option to run stuff in just standard definition. So, but anyway, so For All Mankind, if you know nothing about this show, try going into it fresh. I don't think you'll be disappointed unless you were not a fan of a movie like Apollo 13. If you did not like Apollo 13 at all, you're probably not going to like this show. If you really enjoyed movies like Apollo 13, The Right Stuff, you will absolutely love this show. So, my name's Chris with 11th Hour Reviews, and that's all.